All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Monday Motivation. Coach Dell here. Hope you're doing great. How's the holiday going, right? I know we're coming into the thick of it, but some of you are already traveling and visiting family and dealing with all of the temptations of the holidays. But hey, I know you're doing great because we've been talking about it. You've got my holiday ebook, right? Lose the guilt, not the progress. So I know you're putting all those, strategies we've been talking about into practice. My clients are doing great. Now, they're telling me they're putting a lot of these strategies into practice, and they're even repeating, the things I share with them on our calls back to me, that's what they're doing. So yay, congrats to all of you. So today, the perfect topic, I think, for the holidays is one I think is very fitting. You can't become who you want by remaining who you are. I think that's a fitting topic for the holidays, right? You can't become who you want by remaining who you are. And that is something that you got to practice over the holidays. You see, the way you've always done things in the past can't be your way of doing things now. You're on this new journey. It's an evolution of yourself. You got to become your future self, right? Because the body you want is owned by somebody else. It's owned by your future self. It's not owned by you. I say this often, that there's no way of losing 50 pounds and remaining the same person. Impossible. You will just gain every last pound back. I want you to really understand that. I want you to really internalize that. There is no way of losing 50 pounds and remaining the same person. The person who can lose 50 pounds and maintain it over the long term has very different mindset, habits, and behaviors than you do. If you had the same mindset, habits, and behaviors of that person, well, you would have already lost the weight. And if you have lost that much weight, so far this year, I've got at least a couple dozen clients who have lost anywhere from 25 to 70 pounds this year. So if you're in that group, well, guess what? You've developed a lot of new habits. You've developed new ways of thinking, new ways of being. And the only way to sustain the results that you've gotten, and for those of you who haven't gotten there, the results that you will get, the only way to sustain your results is to sustain the habits of your future self. You are now practicing the habits of your future self. That is the only way to sustain the results that you get. You can't sustain the habits, you haven't developed a lifestyle around your new habits, then guess what? Your results will be temporary. You must develop a lifestyle around your new habits. So dealing with the holidays, right? The old you would overeat. Right? That's what we do over the holidays. There's a lot of temptation. So we tend to overindulge. That is what we do because temptation is everywhere. At work, at home, you're baking cookies with the kids and the grandkids. You're going to family and friends, and everywhere you go, people want to feed you, right? So you've got temptation everywhere. So we overeat, we overindulge, and then what do? We underperform, right? We don't make time for daily activity. We don't make time to stay the course. We don't make time to think about our process. We put things on hold. That is the old you. The new you. This is your future self. The new you has a different method of operation. That's not what the new you does. Why? Because you can't become who you want by remaining who you are. You can't remain the person who overeat, overindulge, and underperform over the holidays. That's the old you. You can't become your future self by doing stuff like that. That's the old you. You got to get into a new mindset. And the mindset is, I will persist until I win. I will make progress over the holidays. I'm not going to give it back. I'm not going to lose 20, 30, 40, 50, 70 pounds and gain back 5 pounds over the holidays, and I'm going to have to pick up again. Why? Why would you want to do that? You don't want to do that. You want to keep making progress, or at the very least, stay where you are until you can make progress. And that is entirely possible. I told you before that, yes, you can eat anything you want over the holidays and still continue to make progress. How do you do that? Well, that is by doing what your future self would do. What would your future self do? Your future self is a planner. You plan. You got to plan all your deviations, right? I ask you to write down all the parties, all the events, everything you've got going on over the holidays that will cause you to deviate from your plan. Write it down. If you don't have it written down, then guess what? It's in your head. It's not something you're going to really focus on. You got to write it down so you can plan, come up with a strategy, right? So you plan. And each of those events you plan to be a deviation day. Each of those events get to be a deviation day. This is how we deal with deviations, right? And guess what, guys? Well, a deviation day is how many meals? One meal. One deviation day equates to one meal. Your deviation day cannot be a day of gluttony, a day of overindulgence. You do that, then guarantee you're going to overeat. You do that consistently, overeating that is, and guess what? You will gain weight. You will lose progress. You will be sliding backwards. So you see, you can make progress by planning those deviation days. And on those deviation days, it's just one deviation meal. You get to eat whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Go to town, eat the pie, eat the cookies, eat whatever you want, as long as you follow the conscious eating method. This is what your future self does year round. Your future self follows the conscious eating method. You eat when you're physically hungry. When are you physically hungry? Well, your body tells you when you're physically hungry because your stomach sends a message to your brain via your hormones that say, hey, I'm empty down here, I'm hungry. So your body tells you, your brain tells you you're hungry by giving you those hunger signal, those hunger pangs that you feel low energy. That's physical hunger. So when you eat until you're physically hungry, when you stop eating when you've had enough, when you're satisfied. Satisfied always comes before full. If you're full, overfull, you've overeaten. You do that consistently, well, you're moving in the opposite direction. Overeating is the only way to gain fat weight. Not possible any other way. Fat weight, that is. You can gain water weight, but medication and other things, water imbalance in your body, that will happen. But overeating, you keep overeating, and guess what? You're no longer moving forward. You're no longer making progress. So yes, you plan. Your deviation day is one deviation meal. You follow the conscious eating method. Am I physically hungry? Have I had enough? Am I satisfied? Well, how do you figure out if you've had enough? Well, halfway through your meal, stop. Ask yourself, am I satisfied? Have I had enough? 3/4 of the way through, stop. Ask yourself, am I satisfied? Have I had enough? Get in the habit of leaving the last 2 bites on your plate. For those of you who, like me, grew up with parents who were members of the Clean Your Plate Club, get in the habit of leaving the last 2 bites on your plate. Never mind what the food pushers say around you. You're not going to eat that? Hey, go ahead and kill that. Hey, don't you want that? No, I don't. I am satisfied. Believe it or not, and I get my teenage girls using that against me when they leave their veggies on their plate now. Eat your veggies. No, I'm satisfied. So it works both ways. So stop eating when you're satisfied, when you've had enough, right? Leave those last 2 bites on your plate. Always ask yourself, what would my future self do? When you get into a pickle, when you get into situations, what would my future self do? You're going to go out and you're going to smell those cookies in the store. You're going to go out to the mall. You're going to smell all, the good things, the cooking and all the treats. You're going to be tempted. What would my future self do? Learn to talk to yourself. Tell yourself, you know something? Yes, you know, those cookies look really good. That pie looks really good. That ice cream looks really good. But guess what? I don't need that right now. I can have you some other time. I'm going to have you some other time. I've got a deviation day next week or this weekend. You know, that's okay. I don't need to have you right now. Get in the habit of talking to yourself. It's okay to talk to yourself. Self, we don't really need this right now, right? We can have this later. Get in the habit of planning your deviations and cutting back on the impulsive deviations, because guess what, those impulsive habits very difficult to break because they become unconscious habits. Unconscious habits are very difficult to break, right? Those are the things that cravings are made of. Cravings are nothing more than the stuff that is stored in your subconscious that your lower brain just regurgitates and push you towards when triggered, because that's what you've always done. That's your pattern. That's what you've always done. So no, your brain isn't nefarious. It isn't out to get you. It's just showing you exactly what you have programmed down there. That's what cravings are. The stronger the craving, well, the more you have practiced that behavior. That is all it means. So get in the habit of planning, and getting away from the impulsive deviations, because those impulsive deviations are very difficult to break. Finally, I want you to give yourself some grace. Just understand, it's the holidays, man, for crying out loud. You're not going to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. Give yourself some grace. Practice the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule. Think about it this way. If in a week you're eating 3 meals a day, that is 21 meals out of the week. I share this with my clients every single week. 21 meals. If you have even if you have 3 deviation days in a week, which is a lot, but it's the holidays, right? We're going to give ourselves some grace. Even if you have 3 deviation meals in a week, that's only 3 meals versus the other 18 meals that you want to be on plan. Those other 18 meals need to be on plan. 3 meals out of 18. Guess what? 18 out of 21, that's 80%. So you get to have that 20%. Guess what? What's bigger, the 80 or the 20? Obviously, the 80 is going to win out, right? There's no way that the 20 can win out if you're eating when you're physically hungry and you're stopping when you're satisfied, before you're full. You do that, I guarantee you'll never gain an ounce over the holidays, right? Try it. Try it, and then January, come tell me how you do. I guarantee you're going to be doing much better. I guarantee that you're going to be able to enjoy the holidays, enjoy the festivities with family and friends, and still make progress if you follow the 80-20. Plan those deviations. 1 deviation meal day is a deviation meal, right? Practice the conscious eating method. Am I physically hungry? Have I had enough? Stop before you're full. That's when you know you've had enough. Ask yourself, what would my future self do? Practice the old 80-20 rule, right? 3 out of 21. Hey, guess what? You can have those 3. The other 18 got to be on plan. If you do that each week, I guarantee you'll be making progress, you'll be moving forward, and you'll still get to eat whatever you want on those deviation days, right? Give yourself some grace. It's okay to fail. This is a beautiful time of the year to start. For those of you who are just starting, why is this a beautiful time of the year? Because you have so many obstacles in a short period of time. You have a lot of possibilities for deviation. And you got to learn to plan those deviations. You got to learn to plan. And you got to learn to start being that person you're becoming. You can't become who you want by remaining who you are. So you got to start practicing now the person you want to be, the person you're becoming. And that is, you start making decisions. Every day you get to make decisions. Every day you get to make choices. Really, that's all it comes down to. You're going to be in situations that are difficult, that are tough, and you get to make choices because that is what your future self does. Your future depends on it. You're creating your future self. So you get to make choices. You get to make decisions. And that is all that matters. Right? That is how you practice becoming the person you are becoming, is through the decisions you make on a daily basis. Every time you say yes to the temptation, you're saying no to that future self. Remember that. So ask yourself, what am I saying yes to? Every moment of the day, ask yourself, what am I saying yes to? Am I saying yes to the person I'm becoming, or am I saying yes to the habits that have kept me where I am right now, going down the path I no longer want to go down? What am I saying yes to? Always ask yourself that. What am I saying yes to? In every situation, you'll be in a lot of situations. You'll be around family and they're going to push food at you. They're going to push alcohol at you. Are you not having a drink? What are you saying yes to? Would my future self be saying yes right now? Would my future self be taking care of herself, himself, and say, no, thank you, I am fine. I can have that some other time. It is not on my plan right now. Today isn't the day for deviation. I'm just going to stay with what I have planned because I do have a plan and I am moving forward. So walk confidently forward, my friends. Don't let others push you over. Walk confidently forward on your path. That is not others' path. That is yours. You get to decide, right? You must become your biggest advocate. And yes, you will be tempted, and it's okay. You will fail. Remember, give yourself some grace. It's the holidays. You will fail. When you fail, you learn. Embrace failure. Learn and recommit at your next meal. Remember, finally, what you've done in the past has no bearing on your future success. What you've done in the past has no bearing on your future success at all. Your future success is determined by what you do from this moment going forward. From this moment going forward. So recommit right now. Don't waste your energy lamenting your failures and what you've done in the past and the fact that, oh, you didn't stay on plan. Don't waste energy on that. Brush it off, move on, recommit right now, do better, be better. Right now, in this moment, going forward, do better, be better. Every failure takes you closer to victory. Every failure takes you closer to victory. Every failure takes you closer to success, to the person you're becoming, to the goal you're after, to your future self. So remember, as you go through the holidays, my friends, you can't become who you want by remaining who you are. Happy holidays. I wish you well.